How's it going, my Arizona friends, family, neighbors, everyone here? Even those of you watching from out of state that just want to see what's going on here in Arizona. So, today we are going to go ahead and, as promised, get into this entire book. I'm going to go ahead and break down all of these propositions, give you my opinions on them, at least most of them. And yeah, we're going to have some fun with it. So, before we get into that, you guys, let's get into this. Oh, also, if you guys are not registered to vote, definitely register to vote. Arizona.vote. Yeah, very important. Register to vote, you guys. It's your civic duty. But before we get into that, let's get into this. I may not have a vote, but at least I got a camera. So let's get started with this one, and we're going to start out with Proposition 128. All right, so let's go ahead and read the official title. Official title: Proposing an amendment to the Constitution of Arizona, amending Article 4, Part 1, Section 1, Constitution of Arizona relating to initiative and referendum. All right, so for Proposition 128, we'll go ahead and read the descriptive title. The constitutional amendment would allow the legislature to amend, divert funds from, or supersede an initiative or referendum measure enacted by the people of Arizona if the measure is found to contain illegal or unconstitutional language by the Arizona or United States Supreme Court. Okay, so essentially what they're saying is, in 1998, Arizona passed a Voter Protection Act, which essentially, once a piece of legislature gets passed by the voters, it cannot be changed. Not a single word of it can be changed. And when this happens, what can occasionally happen is it will, get passed, and then it'll get caught up in the court. The courts will deem there's certain language that's unconstitutional. Like, say, for example, they'll say, oh, so and so taxes, blah blah blah, should go to the state, right? Well, you can't do that because you need to say to this state, right? So it's all just dumb shit like that. And it's basically what 128 would do if you vote yes, it would allow the legislature to go in and fix some of these, small words here and there. Like you'll see where there's a couple of them that we have to vote on again, that they readjusted the language, even though we've already voted on it and passed it. The courts found unconstitutional language in it, or illegal language, and it needs to be changed. The only way to change that is it needs to go back to voting by the people. So 128 would amend that and allow the state legislatures to be able to go ahead and fix that language rather than it get held up. Okay, so I mean, there's an argument for it. It would help get things passed. Right, an argument against it, of course, it's the Voter Protection Act. So I mean, you voted on it, and I highly doubt that they're going to go in and completely change every single part of it. I mean, of course, they would never get voted into any sort of office again if that were the case. But essentially, I don't know. They could adjust some words to make it not exactly what you voted for, and that's what the Voter Protection Act is for. So 128 is amending the Voter Protection Acts. Okay, moving on now. Proposition 129. I personally love Proposition 129, but of course, you guys make your own decisions. I'm just here to give you a little bit of information on it, and maybe a little bit of my bias, but I'm going to try and keep it out as much as possible. All right. So, Proposition 129, descriptive title: The constitutional amendment would limit an initiative measure to a single subject and require that the subject be expressed in the title of the initiative measure. All right. So essentially, keep it simple. All right. So there's a couple different pieces to this. So one will force any new initiative that comes on the ballot in Arizona to, one, embrace only one subject and matters that connect to that subject. Two, subject must be expressed in the title. And three, any portion not contained in that title is void. right? It's fucking great. Absolutely fucking great. I apologize for my foul mouth. You know, you guys probably used to it by now with this show. If not, definitely like, subscribe, share. You get plenty more of this, right? So essentially, I would definitely say vote yes on this. It's basically keep it simple. Keep it simple, right? Title has what the initiative is about. Anything in the text can only be about the initiative or things closely related to it. And anything that is not closely related to the subject title is deemed void. Right? Fucking beautiful. Keep it simple. All right? So, argument for this, of course, I just made that. Argument against it would be, oh well, now the old Zuckerbucks and all the the people from out of state would now have to have multiple initiatives on the ballot instead of just one sweeping completely. We're taking away everything that you own, and you're gonna work for us now, right? All right, so that's Proposition 129. So again, I'm endorsing a yes vote, man. I mean, shit, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Alrighty, now let's get into Proposition 130. Okay, this is another one of those ones that I was talking about earlier with the Voter Protection Act, where basically just there was something messed up in the language, and they needed to basically go back and readjust it. Right? Basically, what this one does is here. I'll go ahead and read the descriptive title. The constitutional amendment would consolidate 4 sections of the Constitution regarding property tax exemptions into a single section. Remove the constitutional determination of the amounts of certain property tax exemptions and allow property tax exemptions for resident veterans with disabilities, widows, and widowers, regardless of when they became Arizona residents. Okay, so from reading through that a little bit, because like I said, I read through all this shit for you guys, but from reading through it, so basically, like I said, it was passed before, it got caught up in the language, and essentially what was wrong with it was it was the specifications on when you had to be a citizen here, or what type of service you had to do here if you were born here, blah blah blah, all kinds of ridiculous stuff. So basically it just kind of breaks it down into simpler, right? So basically what it does is it gives a tax exemption for widowers, for veterans, basically to prevent them from losing their homes and shit when shit gets bad. So there is no arguments against this one in this here book. So I guess seems okay. Now we're on to Proposition 131. All right, and this is basically creating a new office in Arizona called the Lieutenant Governor's Office. It's essentially the vice governor, right? So basically right now what happens in Arizona is if a governor gets impeached, if something happens, if a governor dies, anything like that, then basically the position goes to the Secretary of State, right? So interesting right now. So basically we have Kari Lake and Katie Hobbs both, running for governor position. Katie Hobbs is the current Secretary of State. If Kari Lake is to get elected and something is to happen to her, she's get impeached, something were to happen to her, then the governor position goes to Katie Hobbs anyway, because she is a Secretary of State, right? So what this would do, this would allow us to have a lieutenant governor, right? Yeah, essentially, it's another one of those ones that doesn't really have any arguments against it. It's just kind of one of those. It's been long needed. So, it looks like Arizona, we getting us a lieutenant governor now. Alrighty, now we are on to Proposition 132. I'm a pretty big fan of Proposition 132. So basically, Proposition 132, it requires any new tax imposed here in Arizona to pass with a 60% vote rather than just a 50% vote. Right? It needs a supermajority rather than just a simple majority in order to impose new taxes on us here in Arizona. I'm a fan of it. All right, so let's go ahead and read the descriptive title. The constitutional amendment would require that an initiative or referendum be to approve a tax receive 60% of the votes cast to become law. All right, pretty simple, right? So argument for it, of course, would be It's a bigger decision to raise our taxes then. Argument against it, that's not pure democracy. Well, I hate to break it to you, we don't live in a democracy, buddy. Alrighty, well, that was it for the 100 series of propositions. Now we are on to the 200 series, or citizen initiatives to create new laws or amend current laws. So basically, this is you guys, or the foreign lobby, or the lobbyists from out of state that are, pushing initiatives onto our ballots, right? So that's where these ones come from, all right? So we're going to start with 209, and it is called Predatory Debt Collection Protection Act. So here's the descriptive title. The law would reduce maximum interest rates on medical debt from 10% to 3% annually, increase the amount of certain assets exempt from debt collection annually, adjust exemptions for inflation beginning 2024, and allow courts to reduce the amount of disposable earnings garnished in cases of extreme economic hardship. Okay, so this one is it's a bit of a rough one, right? So essentially, as it mentions, it sounds really, really great. So based on the free market ideas, though, where this could go wrong is so they're not allowed to go after you for predatory lending on things like medical bills. They can't take your homes, your cars, things up to a certain asset limit, and yeah. So of course, sounds great. So of course, it deals with the medical field, with the issue with medical right now in America with healthcare. So basically, oh man, this one's rough, right? So the reason why you're paying like $500 for a fucking aspirin right now, the reason why you're paying $500 for a Band-Aid and shit like that is because things like this, right? Basically, it makes it so they can't go after their own debts and things like that, which I do disagree. I mean, I do disagree with the practices of their charge out rates and things like that. Of course, because a lot of it is government subsidized. So again, this one has to do with healthcare. You guys make your own decisions on this. Like I said, from the economic standpoint and the free market standpoint, I would say vote no, because again, this is like straight out of fucking California, and it's basically I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash from this because, there's not very much argument against this. But of course, me being a free markets guy and shit like that, really, I don't think the prices should have been this fucking high in the first place for, your own life. But, I don't know, man. It's a rough one, right? So you guys make your own damn decision on this one. This one's a bit of a rough one. Like I said, free markets would vote no, but again, we've come so fucking far in the fucking up of the healthcare field that shit, dude. An aspirin's gonna cost you $500 for the rest of your fucking life if you go to the hospital now. So I don't know. You guys make your own decisions. All right, so now we are on to Proposition 210. So I'm just going to pretty much read this one. I'm not going to give my opinions on it because YouTube will they'll remove me. So if you guys would like my rant on Proposition 210 and Proposition 309, then definitely hit me up on AltTech. Hit me up, find me on Rumble, find me on BitChute, find me on Odyssey, find me literally anywhere other than YouTube. And you will be able to hear my rants on Propositions 210 and Propositions 309. All right, so let's go ahead and read the text from Proposition 210. So, a yes vote shall have the effect of allowing eligible voters to register to vote on Election Day beginning in 2024, creating automatic voter registration via DMV transactions for eligible voters, modifying requirements to automatically receive an early ballot by restoring the permanent early voting list, removing prohibitions on elections officials providing an early ballot to voters who have not requested one, creating online voter registration systems administered by the Secretary of State, allowing voters with disabilities to vote by phone if the Secretary of State approves vote by phone technology, extending deadlines for early ballots to be received by elections officials and for voters to cure missing or inconsistent signatures, adding school and employer issued IDs to the list of acceptable polling place IDs, allowing voters to provide polling place IDs by an electronic display on a device, revising voter registration list maintenance procedures, removing prohibitions on third-party collections of voted early ballots, modifying precinct-based voting requirements, limiting judicial review of initiatives and referenda, receiving limits on campaign donations amount to candidates not participating in clean elections, increasing state funding to qualifying clean election candidates, and creating a new corporate income tax to help fund the Citizens Clean Elections Commission Fund. Whew. All right, so I know that one was kind of a lot, right? So as I mentioned, I'm not really going to get into this one on this one because this one I'm posting on YouTube. So if you guys would like my rant on Proposition 210 and everything that I find wrong with it, definitely follow me on Alt Tech, right? That being said, let's move on. Okay, so now we go on to Proposition 211, and this one is titled the Voters' Right to Know Act. All right, so I actually really like this one. This one is basically, all right, so how this one is funded. So this one is a 1% surcharge on all criminal fines. Right, so basically all criminal fines is going to have an extra 1% surcharge on it. That's going to go to the Citizens Clean Elections Fund, right? And what this also does is, let's go ahead and read what a yes vote shall bring. A yes vote shall have the effect of requiring additional disclosures and reportings by entities and persons whose campaign media spending and or in-kind contributions for campaign media spending exceeds $50,000 in statewide campaigns or $25,000 in other campaigns, including identifying original donors and contributions of contributions of more than $5,000 in aggregate, creating penalties for violations of the law, and allowing the Citizens Clean Elections Commission to adopt rules to and enforce the provisions of the law. All right. So the Voters' Rights to Know Act, right? So basically, as I said, there's a 1% surcharge on fines, right? And what this does is it requires campaign finance disclosure of the contributors. So basically, these Soroses, these Zuckerbucks, all these motherfuckers out, from out of state with special interest in Arizona elections. Well, now whenever they make massive donations or massive campaign contributions, we're gonna know exactly who made those contributions. All right, so I'm very much for that one. So Proposition 211, Voters' Right to Know Act. Definitely vote yes on that one, guys. Alrighty, so now we are on to the 300 series. Legislative referrals to create new laws or amend current ones. All right, so we start with Proposition 308, and that is for in-state tuition for non-citizen immigrants regardless of their immigration status. The descriptive title: the law would allow Arizona students, regardless of immigration status, to be eligible for financial aid at state universities and community colleges and in-state tuition if they graduated from and attended a public or private high school or homeschool equivalent for 2 years in Arizona. All right. So basically, this one has to deal with the dreamers. So basically, it has to deal with, the illegal immigrants and allowing them to pay the same in-state tuitions as everybody else, as well as receive financial aid. Which, I don't know. Personally, I'm against the, allowing tax dollars to go to illegal immigrants. Right. I'm personally very much against it. Right. So I would personally say a no to this one. So let's see what a yes vote shall have. A yes vote shall have the effect of allowing any Arizona student, regardless of immigration status, to be eligible for in-state tuition at state universities and community colleges if they graduated from and spent at least 2 years attending an Arizona public or private school, a homeschool or a homeschool equivalent, allowing any Arizona student, regardless of immigration status, to be eligible for state financial aid and at state universities and community colleges. All right. So, shit, fucking half of us don't even fucking qualify for student aid. You really think? But they're going to allow illegal immigrants just because they managed to have slipped under the radar for at least 2 years and attend high school, right? Though they are now allowed, this law would allow them to receive financial aid from the state, as well as pay the in-state tuition prices, right? As well as discounts and all this other shit that we as American citizens don't get, right? So, like I said, I'm a hard no on Prop 208, on Prop 308. So that's my position. You guys, I don't know, make your own decisions, but that's what I'd say to go with, because yep, it's America. Alrighty, so here we are, Proposition 309, the voter ID law. All right. So again, I'm not going to go too deep into this because, of course, YouTube will ban me. So again, if you guys want to hear my rants on Propositions 210 and Proposition 309, follow me on AltTech. The links are in the description below. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe while you're there, because it's really hard to get likes and subscribes on those AltTech platforms. But ultimately, I could post whatever I want there, and I don't get removed. So Proposition 309, voter ID. So a yes vote shall have the effect of requiring the affidavit accompanying an early ballot and return envelope to be capable of being concealed when returned. Requiring a voter to write their birth date, a state-issued identification number, or the last four digits of their voter's social security number and signature on an early ballot affidavit. Requiring certain photo identification issued by the state of Arizona or a tribal government or the United States government, or really any fucking government, to receive a ballot at an in-person voting location. Removing the ability to receive a ballot at an in-person voting location without photo identification when showing two other identifying documents, which is, like bills, things like that, things with your name on it, all right? And requiring the Arizona Department of Transportation to provide without charge a non-operating identification license to individuals who request one for the purpose of voting. That would be the voter ID, right? So basically, the voter ID is free. You don't even need to pay for an actual identification card. You don't need to have a driver's license, none of that. You literally just go down to the Department of Transportation and say, I need a voter ID. And here you go, free of charge. All right. Again, I don't know what's so hard about that, but I'm not going to get too much into my rant here. You guys follow me on AltTech. Appreciate it. All right. So now we get into Proposition 310, and this is the last one on the ballot, right? So this one would raise state sales tax from 5.6% to 5.7% for the firefighters, right? So let's go ahead and read the what a yes vote shall have. So a yes vote shall have the effect of establishing a fire district safety fund, increasing the transaction privilege, aka sales and use tax, by 0.1% from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2042 to pay for the fund, and distributing monies from the fund to fire districts on a monthly basis. All right, so again, it is a increase in sales tax that is going to be going to the firefighters, right? It's going to the fire districts, right? So you guys make your own decision on this one, right? I'm personally not really big on taxes. I am big on firefighters. I definitely support them much more than the police, but at the same time, not big on extra taxes, especially seeing as they already have funding from sales tax. They have fundings from property tax, and much of the much of the firefighters are volunteers, right? Again, I am a fan of firefighters. I'm not a fan of extra taxes, right? But you guys make your own decisions. Well, thanks for stopping by, you guys. I definitely appreciate it. I hope I was able to inform you guys just a little bit about what is on the 2022 Arizona general election ballot. I hope I was able to break down some of these propositions for you to help you guys understand just a little bit as to what they are. Again, I know that this did have my own bias inserted in it, but you guys are watching my thing. Otherwise, you guys could read the damn book yourself, and I highly encourage it. But I do understand that not everybody has time to sit there and read through all of the opinion letters and the arguments for it and arguments against it, and of course form their own opinion. So I'm here to just kind of give you a little bit of a insight as to my own opinion. I do appreciate you guys. Please like, subscribe, share. Again, if you would like some of my AltTech rants, definitely subscribe to me on AltTech. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Definitely don't forget to get out, register, vote, like, subscribe, share. Fuck off.